Have you ever had that unsettling feeling that time is just, I don't know, moving impossibly fast?
Mm-hmm.
Like you blink and suddenly a whole week is gone.
I know exactly what you mean.
And sure, scientists might tell us the Earth's rotation sped up by a few milliseconds, right? A tiny blip.
Right. Technically true, but
But our perception,
Yeah.
how it feels, it
Yeah.
feels like we're living like 100 years ahead sometimes.
absolutely.
I mean, I did some highly unscientific field research. Basically, I just asked around,
Okay.
and the results were kind of depressingly unanimous. It's not just me feeling this, it's pretty much everyone.
And that feeling, that really widely shared, almost unsettling sense that time is accelerating, that's exactly what we're diving into today.
Yeah.
Our sources, they really explore this phenomenon. They try to push past the easy explanations.
Like you're just getting older.
Exactly. To understand its real origins and to unpack what one source actually calls this modern disease.
A modern disease, huh? Interesting framing.
Yeah. So our mission here in this depth dive is really to pull out the key insights from these materials, to shed some light on why so many of us feel like we're constantly, running behind.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Because, yeah, we all feel it. But the source seems to argue it's more than just some vague feeling.
Yeah.
It actually shows up, like, concretely in our daily lives.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
My own mother, she was the first one I asked, and she just smiled this serene smile and said, "Oh, it's just aging. Time moves faster when you get old."
The classic explanation.
Totally. And honestly, I always kind of believed her. But the sources are pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't just an elderly thing. Not at all.
Right. And that was genuinely surprising, wasn't it, reading that?
It really was.
And what's fascinating is how universally this feeling is described, this sort of constant catch-up game across different age groups, too.
Yeah. Like how?
Well, you read about people saying things like, last month's bill isn't paid, and whoops, this month's has already arrived.
Oh, yeah. I feel that.
Or, here's one, a retired person, right? Supposedly has all the time in the world, but actually missed working life. Said something like, at least when you work, you know what you did that day. It's about lacking those clear markers, maybe.
Huh. That makes sense. A lack of structure, maybe?
Could be. And then there's this almost ironic bit about salary. Last month's salary isn't even spent, and this month's has already come in.
Wait, how is that a problem? Sounds nice.
Well, the source describes it really vividly. It says it's like being alive without realizing it, like a tumor growing quietly in a bank account.
Whoa. Okay, that's unsettling.
It is unsettling, isn't it? It suggests life is just sort of passing by unnoticed, like this, silent growth you only see when it's already huge.
Wow. That really makes you pause. Makes you think about how you're spending your own time, your own minutes.
Exactly.
So, I mean, what stands out to you listening at home when you hear these descriptions? Do you find yourself feeling that way, constantly trying to catch up?
It's relatable for a lot of people, I think.
We've all had those moments, right? Where time just seems to evaporate. And often when we're confused like that, we turn to the internet. Which brings us to a really interesting twist in the sources.
Oh, yes, the internet's explanations.
Right. The sources show that, people look online and the internet delivers.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, right after some, I don't know, obscure earthquake prophecy didn't happen,
Mm-hmm.
boom, there it was, the latest apocalypse theory. Grand Pidal and everything. The collective acceleration of human time perception.
Sounds very grand.
Doesn't it? And apparently, both Eastern sages and Western scriptures saw this coming, described it more vividly than 4 horsemen or 10-horned beasts. Really dramatic stuff.
Popcorn worthy almost.
Pretty much. Just missing the ticket booth.
And what's compelling about that whole apocalyptic angle is how alluring it can be. The sources point out something quite sharp here.
That's that.
That nothing gives life meaning quite like the promise of it ending soon.
Oof. That's cynical. But maybe true.
It's a strong claim. It suggests that even a hint of the end is nigh can make even the emptiest life feel important, significant.
Huh.
The source even frames it almost sarcastically as getting a certificate of authentic nihilism.
A certificate of authentic nihilism. Wow.
Yeah, it's highlighting how people, maybe desperate for some kind of meaning, might latch onto this big, dramatic story like an apocalypse just to feel part of something bigger, even if that something is the end of everything.
Borrowing meaning from the end of the world, basically.
So that's exactly how the source puts it later. They're searching, even if it's borrowed meaning.
But the author, the main source we're looking at, really pushes back hard on this, has this firm, almost kind of exasperated rejection of it all.
Right.
They basically say, look, let's not kid ourselves. Look deeper. It's not the apocalypse. It's just a very ordinary, thoroughly modern disease.
Back to that modern disease idea, it raises that big question, doesn't it, about how we find meaning today in all this chaos.
And the source is quite blunt about it. It says, the apocalypse is not coming. It's already here. You just scrolled past it.
You just scrolled past it. Wow.
And then, profoundly, people make the meaning of life, so they borrow one from the end of the world.
That hits hard. Suggests there's this deeper void, maybe, beneath just feeling rushed.
That seems to be the implication, a fundamental lack that people are trying to fill, somehow.
So, okay, if it's not some ancient prophecy, and it's not just getting older, then what is it?
Well, this is where our sources really pivot. They make a powerful core argument.
Which is?
That this feeling, this perceived speed up, it isn't some external force or fate. It's self-inflicted.
Self-inflicted? How?
And the main culprit identified, our excessive digital consumption.
Ah, okay. The screens?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. The source gives examples we all recognize. Click, TikTok, 2 hours gone.
Yep, guilty.
Binge, 1 show, 3 hours gone. Play a dumb mobile game. Hello, sunrise. Okay, I see the pattern. We all know that feeling.
Yeah.
But is it just about wasted time?
Well, the source suggests it's a bit deeper. It's maybe that this constant sort of fragmented engagement, it stops us from really forming distinct memories or clear cognitive markers for our days.
So everything just blurs together.
Kind of. When every moment is filled with something new, fleeting, digital, maybe the brain struggles to lay down those anchors that help us feel time as, a meaningful progression. It just becomes this flow, an undifferentiated stream.
A blur. Yeah, I can see that.
What's really fascinating here is the concept the source introduces, active surrender of time.
Active surrender, that sounds deliberate.
It's a powerful way to reframe it, isn't it? It suggests this time loss isn't just happening to us passively. It's an active choice. Maybe often unconscious, but still a choice.
Good.
The sources are quite clear. Time isn't stolen. We hand it over 1 second at a time.
Hand it over. To what?
To boredom. To anxiety. To a world stuffed with noise, clutter, and people who talk too much but say too little.
Wow. So we're trading mindfulness for distraction, basically.
That's the implication.
Yeah.
We seek that immediate hit, that distraction, maybe over deeper engagement. And the consequence is this feeling that time's just vanishing, even though we were the ones who, let it go.
It's a stark image they use, too. Time being thrown away with both hands and a smile. But hang on, is it really active surrender? Or are we, kind of conditioned? These platforms are designed to hook us, right? Does it feel less like a choice sometimes, more like an automatic reflex? Does the source get into that tension?
Yeah, it does touch on that nuance. It acknowledges, the compelling design, the algorithms, all that.
Right.
But fundamentally, it seems to place the responsibility back on the individual. The argument is that even if the systems are designed to grab our attention, the ultimate choice, to engage or not engage, to spend time mindfully or just, throw it away, that choice still remains ours.
So it's about recognizing the conditioning, but still reclaiming our agency.
Exactly, rather than just sort of lamenting that time disappears. And then after we've done all this throwing away, comes the poignant irony the source highlights.
What's that?
And then we stand in the ruins and ask, with astonishing sincerity, where did all the time go?
Ouch. Yeah. Asking the question after we've already given the time away.
Precisely.
So if it really is this active surrender, what does that mean for us practically? Is the only answer to just log off completely? Or is there a more, nuanced way to get our sense of time back? What about personal agency?
Well, the implication, and this is kind of the profound part, is that time isn't actually lost in the sense of disappearing.
It's just spent differently.
Reallocated by us. The source puts it so bluntly, it's thrown away with both hands and a smile.
Right. That smile part is chilling.
It is. So the solution presented isn't necessarily like a total digital detox for everyone. That might not be realistic or even desirable.
Okay.
It's more about a conscious reevaluation, asking why we engage, how we engage. It really emphasizes mindfulness in our daily stuff.
So distinguishing between, say, actively using tech versus just passively scrolling.
Exactly. Between genuine engagement and passive consumption. It's about trying to create those mental markers again, to truly experience the moments.
Instead of letting them blur into that digital stream.
Right, so they don't just become one undifferentiated flow of input.
Okay, So what we've really unpacked in this deep dive, then, is that this feeling, this sense of time speeding up, it's not presented as some mystical thing or the apocalypse knocking.
No ancient prophecies here.
Right. Instead, it's framed as a direct result of our modern habits, our choices, especially around digital tech, and this idea of our maybe often unconscious active surrender of time.
That's the core argument we've pulled out.
It really shifts the perspective, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
And it leaves us, and you listening, with a really provocative thought to maybe mull over.
What's that?
Just this idea that we are active participants in how we perceive time's acceleration. We're not just passengers.
We're involved.
Yeah. The source really forces us to reflect on where our own time is actually going, building on that really powerful, slightly uncomfortable insight. Time isn't lost. It's thrown away with both hands and a smile.
Thrown away with a smile.
So the real question becomes, are we ready to maybe acknowledge where we are throwing it and perhaps start trying to catch it instead?